Mike Ward with LiveXplore Real Estate in Petaluma. I'm with the insurance guru of Sonoma County, Adam Del Castillo, and this is the Ward Report. What's up, buddy?
What's up, Mike?
How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me,
Of
man.
course. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, I'm excited.
All right, so we're going to do some true and falses to start.
Okay.
No descriptions, no other words, just true and false.
Got it.
If you pass this, we're going to go to a couple questions.
All right. If not, I'm out of here.
If not, you're done.
Okay.
You're immediately done. If you are walking the halls of Cardinal Newman and the wind's blowing just right, there's still whispers of your mid-range jumper. True or false?
False.
False?
No, true.
Well, yeah, 100% true.
I'm just being,
What was your best shot?
the mid-range jumper.
Mid-range jumper.
Get me past about 12 feet and it starts to go. But
fades off?
Yeah.
The
little
curve?
closer than that, and I'm good to
So
go.
I pegged you, dude.
Yeah,
Mid-range.
exactly. You nailed it.
All right. If you and I see each other anywhere in Petaluma on any day at any time, even if both of our wives are going into labor, the over and under of our conversation will be 30 minutes.
True.
100%. I think it was 45 outside of 7-Eleven last time.
Exactly. We spent a couple hours out there.
Yes, we did. Any obstacle or issue in life can be solved by a 12-pack of Lowy Dark and a Freebirds burrito. I'm bringing you back.
True, baby.
True. Santa Barbara boy.
Isla Vista.
All right.
The low and brow dark was always on sale.
The cheapest cake every time from SOS Liquors.
I think if I saw that today, it might turn my stomach.
100%.
But yeah, it was where it was at. back
Totally.
then.
6 years ago, on a long Saturday night at McNear's Saloon, you contemplated going into a tattoo shop and on your upper abdomen getting a tattoo that reads "Insurance is life."
True.
That's true as well.
Yeah, I got it actually.
You did.
Yeah, I won't show it to you now.
But it's there.
It's there. It's there.
So you're hitting all truths. I've never had an all true so far. We'll see if we can get one false. I did a little research. I don't want you to think this is a half-brow situation here in this podcast. So I did a little research on your name. The Spanish last name Del Castillo means fortified building or fortress. Did you know that?
I did. Of the castle is what
Of the castle.
we were always told.
It's a badass name.
Yeah.
So you got Spanish roots.
Yes.
You're a distant relative to the Spanish conquistador Ponce de Leon, who famously combed the Florida swamps looking for the fountain of youth. Are you?
I don't know.
Okay.
It sounds good to me, though.
I needed
True.
one false,
I'll take
man.
it.
I just was going for one false, dude. I knew that all the other ones were true.
You got me all excited. I was going to go look at my
All right.
genealogy.
I wish it would have been true. He was the one good conquistador, by the way. I got it when I was researching that. I was reading through all of them, all murderers, every single one of them. Like all the gnarliest men to ever walk the United States, except Ponce de Leon. All he wanted to find was something to make him look younger. Dude, give it up. Who doesn't?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, you passed that. We're going to bonus question round.
Okay.
You are shipwrecked on an island with a record player powered by the sun, and you get one vinyl record for eternity. What's that record?
One record.
Or album?
So I'm 46.
Yep.
So my musical tastes were developed in the 90s. So I'd probably say Pearl Jam 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
My first CD I ever bought.
Was it really?
Not my first album, not cassette, but the first CD I ever bought was Pearl Jam 10.
Came out when we were like freshmen in high school. I think you and I are around the same age.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm one. You were 95. I think
95.
I'm 96. Yeah,
Okay.
so it was when I was in 8th grade.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll never forget. What's your favorite
classic.
song on that? Do you have one?
Oh, they're all great. Probably Even Flow.
Even Flow's solid.
In the car, listening to Even Flow, you can't help but just drive a little faster.
And then you
just
back
get
it with
going.
Black and just get emotional.
Yeah,
And
there you
just
go. Takes you up, takes you down.
It's a perfect album.
Yeah, it's great. It's
all right.
points.
That's a solid call. You are going on a 30-day juice cleanse. You get one meal before you go into that cleanse.
Yeah.
And it could be anything. It could be combinations of different restaurants, whatever it is. What's the perfect meal?
It's a good one. So I'm not a cook. I survived my 20s with a George Foreman grill.
Did you?
Exclusively.
Did you?
But my wife is a fantastic cook.
Yeah.
And she makes these veggie enchiladas that I think I could eat 7 days a week. So
That's your go-to.
That's my go-to with a glass of Clase Azul Reposado to wash it down, which is a combination I've had before, and it's fantastic.
On the rocks, do you do a little soda splash, squeeze the lime?
Just straight up.
Just that bottle.
That's so cool,
It's
right?
that's the white one,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. The one looks like a base.
Have you had their super high level? I don't know what it's called. It's their extra añejo. I think it's like a grand a bottle. They put platinum. I think it's called platinum. They put platinum on the bottle.
I don't know. I don't know.
It's like $1,000. The other one's like 100. I don't even know the difference between the two.
Yeah.
But it feels great seeing
Yeah.
platinum.
Now I need to try it.
Yeah.
$1,000 though. I don't know. That might be a little out
Steep.
of my price range, but yeah.
Okay. So veggie enchiladas, Repo, Clase Azul.
Yeah.
You can live without working in a city anywhere in the world for 6 months. Where is it and why?
Well, I love Mexico, obviously.
Yeah.
With that last answer.
Yeah.
So my wife and I got married in San Jose del Cabo, which I think we have in common,
I
right?
did as well.
Yeah, exactly.
What hotel?
Great minds think alike. Cabo Surf Hotel.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Did you ever?
I surfed in front of it.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
And then we ate. We went up for breakfast. Great breakfast.
Totally. Where'd you guys get married?
Cabo Azul.
Okay.
So I think it's 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Away.
We stayed there before. That's
Cabo
great.
Surf's amazing though, because you can lock the whole. We looked into that. You can lock the whole hotel down with your wedding.
I think
party.
that's what it was. It was just us in the hotel. It's pretty
cool.
small. Cabo Azul is cool though because they had that. You guys got married in that like
kind of a chapel. It's like a
with
floating
the view
chapel.
of the water.
It's gorgeous.
Sick. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Cabo Surf Hotel, man, it's got everything you need. Like you said, you can surf and swim right off the hotel. That restaurant, some of the best food I've ever had. So if I had to post up there for 6 months, I think I'd be pretty happy.
That's such a great. After you're in the water for an hour and a half, you come up to that restaurant. You're still over the water.
Totally.
Yeah, they got those fans rotating in the front. Like that's
fantastic.
such. Do you guys go back?
Yeah, we've probably been back a half a dozen times.
Yeah, we do as well.
Yeah. You guys do?
Yeah, every like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Well, have you taken the kid?
We have. The last time we went 2 years ago with some friends and stayed there. So my son was 6. And we explained all about like where we got married, and he had no interest whatsoever.
Totally.
The ceremony,
He's like, where's
like,
tacos?
whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we went back a couple years ago. We try to go back every 2 or 3 years. It's just a great place. And Cabo's such a quick trip, man. It's a quick flight.
Insane
so
flights lately,
easy.
though. Have you checked the flight prices lately?
Yeah.
We went to check for this year. It was $1,200.
I know.
For a ticket. It was. Remember, like I think when we got married, it was $350 or $400 round trip.
It wasn't bad at all.
So it's almost tripled. Did he like it? Because that's our next trip back. We're going to take the kids.
He did.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's got a great pool there. The beach is good. That break on the beach is a little much for like I think I said he was 6 at the time.
Because the sand kind of angles down.
Yeah,
so
it kind of breaks pretty hard right there. I tried to take him out, teach him how to boogie board, and he got flipped over. So,
immediately over it.
Immediately he's over it, right? So, but still had a great time.
Cool.
Great beach and all that. So yeah, I'd recommend it.
All right, right on.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into some business stuff. So, kind of your history. You came out of college, and I don't know if this is 100% accurate, but I believe you went into the insurance side of things pretty close to coming out of college or graduating.
I went my first job out of school was with ADP, the payroll company.
Oh, it was the first one.
Yeah.
I thought you went to insurance then went back to payroll solutions.
No, well, I did. I did go back.
Yeah.
My first job out of school was with ADP. So it was one of those entry-level sales jobs, right? Grinder. 100 cold calls a day.
I like Xerox type grinder, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Gallo, Xerox, ADP.
Just like copiers or Gallo.
It's a tough sell.
Yeah, exactly. So a great way to cut your teeth and great experience. But I did that for a couple years, which is about as long as you can do a job like that.
For sure.
And then I had a buddy, one of my best friends to this day, my college roommate, Josh Fagan, who had just graduated from business school and got a job with a company called Aslan Insurance.
Got it.
So he told me about that and said, hey, I think this might be something that you'd like. I was looking for the next thing. My first reaction was, wow, that sounds really boring. I don't think so, right? But he introduced me to his boss. We really hit it off and ended up taking the job with them. And it was one of the best career decisions I ever made. I really liked it, and it created a career for me from here on out.
What did you learn from that first job? So ADP, that grind, right?
Yeah.
So you hear, we already brought it up, but like Gallo, Xerox, ADP, there's like these legendary companies that you go to, at least in the 90s, mid-90s to 2000, where if you made it through the first 2 years, it was kind of like your ticket, your golden ticket.
Yeah.
Because people would see that on your resume and be like, oh, you made it through, they broke you down and you still made it through. What did you learn from those first 2 years?
Yeah, a ton, man. I mean, anyone that I talk to that's coming out of school and wants to go into sales, I always recommend, starting at a job like that. I mean, first just the work ethic that it takes to be able to generate enough activity to actually close business in a job like that. That really develops there. You deal with rejection. You start to get a thick skin, which is really important in any sales job. I mean, we would go door to door in office buildings in the city and get kicked out by security and then have to go to the next one. Yeah. So it creates some real resilience as well. And then they also have those companies have great sales training programs. So they teach you how to run a call, how to take control of a call, set an agenda, close for business, ask for the business, that kind of stuff. So probably one of the most influential jobs in my career that I've had. And it's something I'd recommend to anybody that wants to go down a sales track for sure.
That rejection piece is so huge. So right out of school, I went to WorldCom doing, T1 sales.
Oh,
I mean, the most boring.
Same thing,
same
right?
thing.
You're just,
Within 2 weeks of that job, right? Because we would go down right when we got to work, we would go down almost like a boiler room situation. Yeah. We'd have 14 employees making calls. There was a whiteboard. Yep. Every appointment that you set for the day, you'd put up on the board. Yep. Everyone would go nuts, right? Just setting an appointment. Yeah. And then whoever got the most would get their drink spot after work.
Right.
But after 2 weeks of having that job, those rejects, that constant rejection, getting rejected at the bars was so easy. I literally used to walk up to one. It was the best. Yeah. They would reject me. I'd be like, I would sulk for a week. Yeah. After that, I'd be like, okay, just walk off to the next thing.
I know it's a numbers game.
It's a numbers game, and nothing's permanent. Exactly. It was one of the best lessons from my early career in sales that I learned. It's like if you don't ask, closed mouth doesn't get fed.
Totally.
And you just got to go out there and give it a shot and get used to the no's.
Yeah.
It changes everything.
It's a great experience. Yeah.
It is.
Tough, but really good.
How did that lead back in? So you went payroll, Heffernan.
Yeah.
It's a huge, not everyone started a business or purchased a business.
Yeah.
And when you did it, you had a family, correct? Like you had a wife and already a kid.
Yes.
So those are huge weights when you're thinking about shifting a career in terms of income and can I support my family and what's the growth and here's this huge purchase price. Yep. How did you weigh all that? What was that process like mentally for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was, to be honest, I probably should have worried about it more than I did. At the time, I had actually, as you mentioned earlier, so I worked at Heffernan and then I went back to ADP. Mm-hmm. ADP rolled out a new program that was bundling insurance along with payroll and HR services. And so they reached out to me because I had experience in both. So I decided to go back. Really liked the insurance broker gig, but I decided to go back in large part because I knew the product was going to be really successful. Mm-hmm. And I really wanted the kind of quasi startup experience of rolling out a new product into a new market, right? So I planned to go back there for 2 years and then go back to an insurance brokerage. Ended up staying there for 10.
Oh, you stayed there that long?
Doing that for 10 years. And
why?
It was twofold. One, I just really dug the company and the group that I was in and the people that I was working with. It was a really good job. I really enjoyed. And two, after I'd been there for a couple years, I realized that when I went back into insurance, I didn't want to work for anybody. I wanted to have my own shop. And as you and I have actually talked about in some of our marathon conversations, finding, identifying and purchasing a small insurance agency is a challenge. Yeah. There's just not a lot of them that are available. So it took me about 10 years to, find Aslan and get the opportunity to buy it. So
you had that in the back of your head the entire time.
Pretty much,
so it was just the search from that point. However long it took, you were waiting for the right.
I really liked the industry. But I really wanted to, from the early days, really wanted to own my own thing. Yeah. And the nice thing about insurance and being an independent agent like I am is you can do that on a small scale, right? You can buy a business or you can start a business from scratch. There's still the opportunity in our industry to find and run those. So I identified that pretty early. So partially liked ADP and also was just waiting for the right opportunity. So when it finally was presented to me, good family friend, a great guy by the name of Clark Thompson, owned an agency, started it back in 1993. Yeah. was ready to retire, and luckily he and I had become friends over the years, kind of like a mentor to me. Great guy here in Petaluma, was the mayor of Petaluma back in 2000 and 2001. Yeah, just fantastic guy. When he was ready to sell, he and I connected, and then we started that process.
Okay.
So to answer your long-winded answer to
They're all
your short
long-winded. That's
question,
okay. Yeah,
sorry.
that's all right.
I wasn't all that worried about making the jump because it was something that I had been looking for so long.
Yeah.
And my excitement about the opportunity really like overshadowed any sort of anxiety around it.
Yeah.
I think it was a little tougher for my wife. She had just recently left a very successful career to stay home with our son, who I think was 1 or 2 at the time.
Which I can't imagine doing.
Yeah, so it's
I've been home with both kids sick at once for a couple, different times, and it's like I cannot imagine. There's no tougher job.
Oh man,
especially the early years.
Oh, especially when they're little.
Yeah,
they're
0 to 4. It's
you're in it, man.
You're in it. Yeah, you're throwing elbows.
Yeah, exactly. You're battling.
Yeah. So when you did that, right? So you make the purchase, you find the business, right? This is a long process for you. So you're certain when it happens. There's not a lot of back and forth. The next thing is like when you come into a business, and I've had the opportunity to start businesses, but I've never purchased a business, right? When you come in, you've got every idea in the world, right? You've been thinking about it for a decade. Right. You're excited. How do you present that to the team that's there, right? How do you walk the line? Do you come in and you just say, I'm putting my stamp first day, like an old school football coach, right? My way or the highway.
Yeah.
Or are you like the new school football coach that comes in and says, hey, this could be a slow adjustment. We're going to get to know each other. We're going to do subtle changes. Is there a mixture of both? Is it one or the other? Like, how did you do that? Like,
it's a great question. It was probably one of the biggest challenges in taking it over is, my instinct was to come in there and immediately implement all the things that I've been thinking about for years, right? I was ready to roll. Yeah, exactly. Coming in hot. Yeah. I got some good advice from someone who had owned an agency for about 25 years and had been in a similar position. And he gave me the advice of just be patient, right? Because, the people that are there, the agency I took over had been around for over 20 years, and some of the employees had been there for 10 and 15 years.
Wow.
So me coming in and like turning their world upside down, wouldn't have been good for them or for me in the long run.
Or the vibe, yeah.
The vibe would have been bad. Yeah. So I really had to approach it with some patience and some humility and kind of be really strategic about it. So we did some things right off the bat. I mean, we were pretty antiquated in some ways. We were still using paper files, for example. So that was something that, right from the beginning, we went into a paperless environment. The logo and the website were pretty dated. So we updated those pretty quick, right?
That's not easy.
No.
That was one of the hardest things for the gym that you were at. One of the hardest things for me because it takes a long, I know when something I feel is going to be forever, I front load it.
Right.
And so finding the color schemes, the logos, the designs, I really it crushed me. Yeah. It took a really long time.
Yeah.
Did you have one in mind? Like, how did you go through that? No, you just kind of.
A very similar process to yours with 38. I think I hired somebody and I was looking at pages and pages of these logos. And then you just start to get lost in them.
It's like tasting wine.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't even know what it tastes like
now, right?
Totally. Yeah.
So that was a challenge,
Yeah.
And we did that. And then really what I wanted to do, there wasn't really processes in place there. It was.
What do you mean by a process?
Like 5 or 6 employees all handling the same task in different ways. So, changing an insurance policy or placing a new insurance policy. There wasn't really like a policy or a process in place on, hey, this is how we do it. Something that could be replicated and can be trained on. It was like everyone kind of figuring it out on their own. Because a lot of people had been in the business for a while, they were able to do that. So that was the biggest challenge, was trying to like streamline how we did things. And that took some time to get buy-in on.
Okay.
And really, if I think I had gone in there, like we talked about, guns a-blazing, I probably would have gotten a lot of pushback.
Yeah.
But because we kind of eased into the transition, I made sure that I was really leaning on them a lot, like finding out, hey, what what do you think could be better?
Yeah.
You know, what works and what doesn't, and taking that input. Because we did it in like a collaborative way, I think it was a lot more successful than it would have been if I came in and said, you know, here's what we're doing. This is how it's changing from day one, you know?
Was there a moment where you I guess you realized, like, I have the trust? Like, trust is a huge thing in a relationship, right? Whether it's a relationship with your wife or your kid or whoever it is, but especially employees, right? You're spending 8 hours a day, you know, 40 hours a week with these people. Was there a moment when you walked in and you're like, I got the trust? Like, I feel it. Like, the energy's different.
Yeah.
How long did it take?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, over a year.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a difficult transition because, you know, some of the people there had more experience in this than I did.
Yeah.
You know, I was younger than them, right? You know, the prior owner had taken a step back from the day-to-day operations prior to me coming on board. So they were really running the agency day to day. So it was that transition was tough. It took some time for them to start to trust me and not to be worried that I was going to turn their world upside down. So, I mean, at least a year, maybe longer. It was a long-term process. I think some of the employees probably never got there.
Did you turn any employees around? Were there any employees that you came in and you could tell from their vibe and their energy, like, they're not into this, they don't try, and then 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 months or a year, like, I got them. Like, he's on my side now, or she's on my side. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. There was definitely some strong pushback from a couple people in the beginning.
Yeah.
And, you know, over time, you know, it's, you know, not only from just a work standpoint, but just personally developing relationships with people, I think goes a long way too. So, yeah, it took some time, but it all worked out.
Comes around. Feels so good when it comes around.
For sure.
I mean, that almost the longer it is, the more satisfying it is too, because if it happens in a week or 2 weeks, you don't even reflect on it. But if you're working towards that goal and it takes 12 months, God, when it happens, it just feels so much better. Yeah.
It was really, it was a good feeling for sure.
And so the business itself, Aslan, what's your focus? Like, what's your kind of target client? Like, what are you looking for as a brokerage? Like, what are your goals? When you guys come in each day and you want to bring in a new client, what do you do best?
Well, we're primarily a commercial and agricultural insurance agency. That means we work with commercial clients, so businesses, and you know, a lot of clients in the ag community. So wineries, vineyards, dairies, hobby farms. So those are kind of where we spend our time. And then even within that, we kind of specialize in certain industries. So we work with a lot of restaurants, building material dealers, you know, property owners, contractors, so small artisan contractors and GCs, some breweries. In insurance, it's really, the needs can really vary pretty significantly between companies in different industries. So we really try to be experts in the industries that our clients are in. So we really kind of specialize in those things.
You also branch off into other aspects of insurance as well, though. And I know residential, something that's an absolute shit show in California right now. And I know that's not your, it's not your focus.
Fire.
I mean, you know, all states left, State Farm's left. You know, my dad was a broker growing up in State Farm. And when this happened, I went back to him and I said, hey, is this ever, he said, yeah, multiple times, right? In my business, for my tenure, they left for 2 years, they came back. Geico's got a cap. Farmers got a cap each month. Like, where do you see the state of coverage in California right now? And we'll go into your component because it is something you can write, although it's not your target.
Right.
You do have the ability to write. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I knew, to be honest. I mean, saying that, you know, insurance in the insurance market in California is in crisis is like not an overstatement. You know, it's probably never been more difficult in our lifetimes to place, you know, property insurance, especially property insurance in areas with high wildfire risks than there is right now. Like you mentioned, a lot of the, standard preferred carriers have pulled out of the market, which puts a real squeeze on the carriers that are still writing business here, and drives up rates and makes it really difficult to get coverage. So I don't know what the future holds. I mean, it's definitely it's a scary time in the market for sure. What we really look to do is focus on like what we can control. And, what we know is that, clients have never needed insurance brokers more than they do right now.
I know you're a rock star right now.
Right.
I mean, literally.
Rock star, or they're not excited when we come in the door because we're delivering a cost increase. But still, people need us more than they did maybe in prior years where you could pretty easily go online and get a quote or get a policy. So, people in our positions as agents and brokers, we're really having to, step up to the challenge and be real educated on the market. So we spend a lot of time, working with insurance carriers and networking with other agents and brokers to make sure that we're aware of all the programs that are out there. So that's key. And then the second, like you and I were talking about earlier, is making sure that we're educating our clients on what's going on and what to expect, right? And what we're doing in order to help them. So that's really where we're kind of focusing all our time and effort on now. Is making sure that we can be the best possible resource for our clients because they need it now more than ever.
I mean, they're scrambling. I mean, I've had multiple deals in the last month where their carriers who they've had for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years won't write. And we're in contract and you've got 4 more days till you lift a contingency and you have to have insurance and it is a scramble. Have you seen a huge influx of like that type of residential insurance coming to you? Are you getting more calls?
Yeah, definitely.
Because I know you're not known for that. I don't want to push people your way and overload you. But you do write.
Yeah, absolutely. We write those types of policies as well. So there's more people in the market looking for coverage than ever before. We work with more and more like realtors like yourself where in the past, that wouldn't have really been something that you would have had to worry about or even think about prior to someone closing. You just go get a policy.
It's
right?
easy.
It's easy. It's turnkey. And so that now has become more and more challenging. So we are getting more and more calls and more referrals from people that really need coverage. And in a lot of cases, as you know, they need it right away.
Instantly,
They need it now because you're trying to close on a property. So we're seeing a huge influx of people that need that.
And do you see that changing? Like I know from just the research I've done online, you could say if it's wrong, because you know a lot more than me about this. It's about the insurers that insure the insurance companies, right? The reinsurers are the ones that see so much risk in California for natural disasters. I think the last stat I saw was the average home in California to rebuild is $1.3 million. The average home from dirt to roof is $1.3 million. So they're seeing all these statistics add up and they're just saying it's too much risk. Like we're out. How does that change? Is it a string? Is it a decade of not having a natural disaster? Is it inflation and cost of the rebuild coming down? Like, are there any other factors I'm missing of why?
No, I mean, it's pretty, I mean, it's pretty cut and dry, right? It's climate change leading to natural disasters that's putting a squeeze on the market, right? They're paying out much more in claims than they have in the past. And as you mentioned, there's the reinsurance market, which is like insurance for insurance companies. So you buy a policy from Nationwide. If it gets over a certain amount, then they go buy an insurance on that policy as well. So those secondary markets are really getting squeezed. It's just a capacity issue. There's not enough capital to insure all the people that need it based on the losses that we've had over the last 6 or 7 years. So it's a challenge for sure. I mean, there are companies that are innovating. We work with a company called Wildfire Defense Services that has a program through Lloyd's of London for high-risk wildfire areas where they place the insurance, the hard-to-place insurance, and then also provide contract firefighting services in the event that there is a wildfire in the area to protect both their interests and the insureds. So there are there's some innovation that's happening, just not enough really to keep up with the demand. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens over the next couple of years.
I love Lloyd's of London. They're doing fire insurance, and then they're also like Patrick Mahomes' right arm.
Exactly.
You know, like everything. Those guys got their hands in all of it.
That's the spot to go.
Yeah. So then kind of gearing back towards what you guys do best and most consistently with the commercial side of things. Like if you're a commercial customer and you're searching for insurance, like what's a good way to go about it?
Yeah.
Like if I have a small winery or contracting company or a bar.
Yeah.
Like what's the steps? Because I don't even think people know where to start, especially commercially, right? They just bought a business. This is another component, like their head's spinning. They're trying to get all their employees in, you know, they're trying to make their money last. Like, what do you think their first step should be in finding something that's a good fit for them?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I think first and foremost, like we mentioned earlier, what broker or agent they work with is more important than ever. So, you know, from the commercial side, and this would extend on the personal side as well, is finding an agent. I would recommend an independent agent. So an agent that has the ability to access multiple insurance carriers on their behalf, that focuses on the type of business or property that they're trying to insure. So if I'm starting a restaurant, I would ask other restaurants, you know, who's your insurance broker? And get some referrals that way, because you really want to go with an agent or a broker that has a real specialization or experience and expertise in what it is that you do. So if you're a contractor, a restaurant, a small winery, you know, using your network of other people in the industry to find out what agents specialize in that in your area. And that goes for, you know, people insuring their homes as well. So if I'm buying a home in a high wildfire risk area like Fountain Grove or the Dry Creek Valley, I'd want to ask my neighbors, right? Ask the people that are living around me that are facing the same challenges. You know, who do you use? Who has expertise here? That's more important than ever. Because the market is so difficult. Where before didn't really matter, right? You could look it up online, and really probably anyone could help you. Now, you know, similar to your business, right, Mike? You know, you need to work with a professional that has real expertise,
knows the local market,
right? In order to be put in the best position.
So are you in I've seen a big change, not from the commercial side, but from the residential side. And I don't know if this extends into commercial insurance as well. But back when my dad had his brokerage, it was consultative. You sat down with every client, right? They came in, you talked about their needs, you built a relationship, and that's how you did business. If you go to a State Farm today, nothing against State Farm, right? You know, it paid for my college. But if you go into one today, it is not consultative in my experience.
Right.
It is a numbers game. It is marketing. It is Google ads. It is spending money, capturing, getting them in, and getting them on the books.
Right.
I don't feel that's your business model, right? Because you're dealing with larger clients, larger numbers. So would you consider yourself a consultative sale? Is that still like, are you building that strong relationship? Are they calling you personally when something goes wrong or there's changes in the law or whatever it is?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's really what, you know, our agency was founded on, was that, you know, developing that personal relationship. You know, something as simple as when you call our office, there's no phone tree. There's no press 1 for this, 2 for that, right?
It's huge.
Somebody answers the phone, and the person that answers the phone can help you in 99.9% of the questions or the concerns that you might have, right? So we get out and we meet with our clients on a regular basis. As I mentioned, I'm going out and meeting with a couple clients after you and I chat here today. The way that we're able to compete as a smaller insurance agency is based on the personal connection that we have with people. So we don't have the resources of large, you know, national insurance brokerages, but what we can do is spend more time developing those personal relationships and making sure that we're like real consultants. I mean, our goal is to make sure that, you know, if someone's going to buy a business or buy a property and they have those like trusted advisors they go to, right? They ask their CPA CPA, what the
Yeah.
tax implications are going to be, maybe their attorney,
Yep.
they're buying a business, what the legal ramifications are. We want to be part of that inner circle,
Yep.
right? Where we're a consultant to them, we're a trusted advisor, and not just someone that's placing the insurance coverage, because technology is going to continue to evolve to the point where that part of our job is going to be done by AI and
Sure.
and you know, different pieces of technology like that, and it's really going to be the personal relationships
Yep.
that are going to be you know, what kind of allows an agency like ours to survive and thrive.
Do you ever get into those situations and after that sit down, it's not a good fit? Does that come across often where you're just, hey, I think there's another direction, or I think there's another route that's best for you? Or have you had most people seeking out commercial fit what you guys can do?
Yeah, most of the time we're able to
Yeah.
find something for them. It's one of the advantages to being like an independent agent, where we have relationships with such a wide breadth of insurance carriers that we can find a home for really any business that needs it. So we really do everything we can if someone reaches out to us to be able to take care of them and find something for them.
Yeah.
So in the vast majority of cases, we're able to
You're
kind
good
of
to go.
figure that out with them. Yeah.
Okay. And is there any emerging products right now, like in the last year or 2024, that the local population doesn't know about that you're excited about as a company or as a person that have come across? Or is it pretty standard operating procedure the last 3 or 4 years in terms of the products that are out there and available?
It's a good question. So there's things, you know, there's some innovations in the property market, like I had mentioned, for businesses. You know, none of these coverages are new, but you know, there's definitely maybe some more awareness around coverages like cyber liability insurance
Gotcha.
for businesses, employment practices liability insurance, which, you know, protects a business owner from lawsuits from employees or former employees for things like employee discrimination, et cetera. So those are things that you know, aren't new by any means, but you know, more and more companies are interested in kind of expanding you know, what it is that we can do for them as far as reducing their risk.
Cyber liability is massive. I mean, just in our industry in the last year,
Oh yeah.
Barry's got hacked, held ransom for, I think, a month. I mean, it's ridiculous. And then First American Title 3 weeks ago got hacked. They never really came out why, but that was a 1 to 2 week process where every one of their escrows had either lock down or shift. And if you had a deposit with them, that was staying there. You had to do another deposit of cash. It was huge. So is that
scary.
something where a majority of larger companies are coming in? Is that something you guys offer?
I mean, that's standard in the offering now. And the challenge is because companies are spending more and more money on like security, right?
Yeah.
You know, making sure that their networks are secure. And there's a lot of products and services out there to do that. Unfortunately, when we talk about like ransomware, which is, you know, what you just mentioned with Barry's, is, you know, 90% of the time, the way that they're getting in is phishing emails, right? So it's an email to an employee that says, you know, click, and they're getting so sophisticated
They're
with
good.
these. Oh man, I was, you know, we did a big training around cyber within our agency, and I was, you know, preaching, you know, hey, make sure if you get an email, you got to click on the email address, make sure it's, you know, who it's from, etc. A week later, I clicked on one of them. So,
Don't do this.
Exactly. Don't do what I do. I felt like such a hypocrite, right? I was just like preaching this. I mean,
they're perfect.
They're so
I've seen examples.
sophisticated.
It's unbelievable.
Exactly.
And they'll just wait and wait and wait and wait. The big thing is wire fraud, right?
I know,
With
it's in your
escrow
industry.
companies.
I mean, there's some scary stories I've heard.
And not backed, not insured, right? So if you make that
Send it to
wrong
the
mistake,
wrong place.
it's gone. I mean, there was one a couple years ago with like, you know, saddest story ever. It was like a retired couple, cash, wired the cash, it gets taken and ends up, I believe, in Russia or somewhere over in Europe. And the FBI ended up getting it back, I think 2 months later, but it was like their life was ruined. It was gone. It was like their entire nest egg going into the last house they're ever going to buy. So that's a big thing with
devastating.
Oh my God, for everybody, right? I mean, anyone who's a part of that deal is devastated.
Totally.
So it's a big thing with title of, you know, the warning, we'll call you first, don't do anything, because they'll take the exact email, they'll sit in your email until the perfect moment and take the exact title email with wire instructions and send it over. And you can't tell the difference.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. And that's only gonna, I mean, how's that gonna adjust for you guys? I mean, where's it gonna go? I mean, AI right now, in another 2 years, you're probably not gonna know. I mean, they're gonna be able to get your client's voice and replicate a call within 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
Like, so I mean, how do you just wait to see how the industry adjusts to that?
Yeah.
And you pick the product that you feel is best to protect your client.
And the products, they're continuing to innovate and evolve to like pick up, the risk that is also continuing to change. So, it's a matter of making sure that we're educated on the products and what those products cover and those changes, and new providers in the market to make sure that we're able to present our clients with all the best options. Because the risk isn't going to be decreasing. I mean, to your point, it's increasing. Massive. So so again, incumbent on us to make sure that our clients are educated on that stuff.
Do you ever lose sleep over that thought? Do you ever take it home? I do. I have, I absolutely do. Yes. And anything I've ever done.
Oh, yeah.
I've, any business that I've been a part of or owned, or, now with real estate, you have contracts, right? There's so many details in a contract.
Yeah.
How do you take it home is the first question. Yeah. And if you do take it home, what do you do to combat those stress levels, or, that kind of mental hamster wheel that you have going?
Yeah, so yes, I do.
Yeah.
And I try not to.
Yeah, it's impossible.
But it's impossible sometimes.
If you care, it's impossible.
Yeah. And so it's a conscious effort to make sure that I'm leaving those things at work, because it can drive you crazy.
And you got a wife.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And trying to, really making an effort to be present at home when I'm at home. Yeah. It's a challenge for sure. I've definitely woken up in the middle of the night, startled a couple times, thinking as something pops into my mind, oh no, did we take care of that? Was that done properly? So I'm sure you feel the same way. Yeah. It's people's livelihoods. Yeah. It's people's, like you said, their nest eggs, their property, their homes. Yeah. These are things that are really important. So it's hard not to worry about that outside of work, but I really try to make sure that when I'm home, I'm present. And luckily I have an 8-year-old. It's hard to, he's got a lot of energy.
It's hard.
Exactly. Which is the best medicine for leaving work at work is coming home to kids, as with your boys.
Is there anything else that keeps you balanced? In life, I got a million things I do every single day. And if I didn't, I'd be a psycho.
Totally.
From the moment I wake up to the moment, if I described it to you, it'd be another 40 minutes on the podcast of everything that I do in a day to keep me is there anything?
I want to hear about all that stuff after the podcast.
It won't be now.
All about that. You and I have had these conversations in the past. So there's a handful of things I do or attempt to make sure that I do every morning that really kind of put me in the right frame of mind and the right mental space to be able to kind of go through the day. So, tactical stuff, right? Yeah. Getting enough sleep, making sure I get 7-8 hours of sleep, working out in the morning. So that's always the first thing I do when I wake up.
So you're a morning guy every morning?
I'm a morning guy.
Yeah. What time?
5:30. Yeah. It's painful.
Respect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feels horrible at 5:30. Great at 6:30.
I know. That first 10 minutes is no good.
It's your body's not ready to
Especially
move
the older
early.
you get. Every step you're feeling in the morning.
Oh, absolutely.
What type of workouts do you do?
I go to Luma here in Petaluma.
Long time.
Yeah. Great spot there. Some great trainers and kind of the same group that's there.
Half of them I know, I think.
All buddies of yours as well.
Yeah.
That's cool too. A part of it where it's a community of people that are there.
Yeah.
Kind of going through the same pain every morning.
Yeah.
So that, and then I also have I try to meditate every morning. So
you do.
I'm by no means an expert, but it's
is,
very simple. It's a 10-minute, meditation with one of the apps that you can use.
So guided,
exactly. So I try to make sure that I do that. And if I can do those 3 things, and then spend some time with my family before leaving for work, I'm in a pretty good headspace for the day.
You're good to go.
I know you do cold plunges, which is what I want to get into.
Yeah,
I have not had the ability to do yet, or should I say the desire to do it.
There's nothing, I can't imagine not doing it in the morning. Don't get me wrong, it's hard.
Yeah.
Every morning is hard. Every morning you're fighting yourself as you walk downstairs.
Totally.
And it depends, right? There's a variation in temperature, but if you get low with that temp, but I'll tell you, when you get out, that dopamine release, your brain, it's probably the clearest your brain is all day.
Yeah.
And it's 5:30 in the morning.
That's so cool.
Right? And
Yeah.
it takes me, I'm a little slower in the mornings. Like it takes me, before that, I would like get up, I would take a shower. My shower would be like 20 minutes. My wife would be yelling at me to get out of the shower. Like then I got to shift and I cook usually in the mornings, and I'm spending time with my kids at that point. So to be able to get up, get that done, and then I do a little 10-minute workout afterwards just to acclimate.
Yeah.
I'm good to go. Like I don't have coffee half the time.
Really?
Yeah, your brain's
awesome,
so
man.
sharp and it's so sustained that it's been a good rhythm. When you meditate, do you ever do breath work combined with that? That's something I've messed around with, and I do that in the cold plunge. And I know
I
that
mean,
helps with meditation.
just basic like box breathing and stuff. Nothing too intense. What kind of breath work do you do?
Well, in the cold plunge, I try to do 6 breaths in 3 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that's kind of a challenge.
Cool.
Yeah, that I heard on a podcast. So when I get in, I'll do 2 quick ones to stabilize, and then 30 seconds of breath. So I'm taking a real slow breath in, and then an even slower breath out. And so you're kind of getting that Wim Hof.
Yeah.
It also helps with body regulation and temperature, they say.
Right.
That was why I did it, because the first week of doing cold plunges was terrible, and I was like, I gotta figure something out.
Do you numb out at a certain point, or are you in pain the whole time?
No, I don't think you. Yeah, you do numb out.
Okay.
You do. Yeah, you feel it the whole time, but there's a thermal layer. Which you're trying to avoid, right? So there's something called a thermal layer that builds around your skin, just off your skin, that your body temp will actually bring up that temperature of the water a little bit around your skin. So what I do is every breath that's 30 seconds, at the end of it, I kick. And then I break up the thermal layer. So I'm trying to make it. There's certain ones that let push water on you.
Okay, for exactly that reason.
I've got an absolute cold plunge. I built it myself. It's a chest freezer with an aquarium. I built it for $800.
Nice.
Works great. It stays at 37 year round,
cool.
right? It self-regulates. But yeah, you do these kicking mechanism, and then it's painful for another like 10 seconds, and then you kick again. So you're kind of like going in and out of that. But that breath
for you, man, I'm impressed.
No, it's literally it would take you one day to be in it. Funny story, the first time I ever did it, I buy it. My buddy talks me into doing it, right? And this is my personality. I never do it. I just buy the chest freezer. I say, I'm going to do it. I'm a cold plunger now, right?
Yeah.
Never been in one. That's who I am.
I'm convinced. Let's do this.
It's my identity. This is what I put on this earth to do.
Yeah.
So I buy it. I set it up. I get it down to 37, right? He tells me go to 50 and then drop 2 to 3 degrees each week,
right,
until you get to whatever you want. And they're all physiologically, they're all the same benefits, right? 50 to 37, I believe, is the exact same benefit.
Oh, really?
There's no difference.
Okay.
But the mental component when you go into the 30s is it fortifies
you can feel the difference.
Your mind. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So I build it up, I get it down, no one's home. I go down there, I set up a camera, because I'm going to talk shit to my brother, and I'm going to send him like, hey, no big deal, because he's like, there's no way you're jumping in and there's going to be
having a normal conversation.
Yeah, that's what I envisioned.
Degrees, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I would just be like, hey, Joe, what's up? No big deal. I jump in, I last 14 seconds.
Oh, man.
And I jump out, and for the rest of the day, all I do is talk shit to myself.
You're just beating yourself up.
I cannot believe how weak you are. You just wasted $1,000. What are you going to do with your chest freezer? You're going to have to turn into a bow hunter so you can start like putting an elk in there. I'm not going to do it. And then I take the next day off. And then the day after that, I go down and I just like, you're not getting out. You know? And then once you do that once, you realize it.
That
like
you
anything.
Can do it. Totally.
Yeah. Totally. Like a run, right? You're a runner.
Yeah.
Like once you do a marathon, I can do a marathon.
Yeah, exactly.
And if it comes up again, you can do it.
Yeah.
So It's a huge, huge component to it. But anything else on that, like that kind of loosens you up, or working out, meditation, work, family, you're coaching, your son's team.
So that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'm coaching his 3rd grade basketball team, which is a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know you coach too.
I did as well.
So
how are you with
it is?
holding back? Like you know what type of player you were and the path that you took, and not every player is going to take that same path.
Yeah.
How are you with self-regulating, which you have to be in the young years when you coach? It's a hard thing.
It is.
Yeah.
It doesn't come naturally. Like I have to be really cognizant, really conscious about it, intentional about it. you know, telling myself this is all for fun.
Sure.
And it's about having fun and the overall like development around being part of a team.
Yep.
And, you know, that kind of stuff. Not to lose sight of that.
Yeah.
As a dad, you know, you want to make sure that you do that. So I have to be intentional about it.
Have you yelled on the court? I certainly have.
I don't know.
Not
I'll have to
directly
ask
at
Erin, my
somebody,
wife, if
but
I
I've
have.
I've gone back to my wife like in the stands, and I'm going like, that wasn't too much, was
Right,
it?
right.
I've done that multiple. This is kindergartners, and I was like, that. Please tell me that was not
Yeah,
too
yeah.
much, because the gym's loud,
Yeah.
and you know you're
Totally.
trying to get people in position,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
like at the end of it, you're like, all I did, like my voice is gone.
Yeah.
You know,
Totally. You're like, I must have been yelling.
I had to
I
be.
can't talk.
Yeah,
right
they
now.
just don't want to look like an a-hole. So it's like, yeah, go back to that. So it's a fun component of, you know,
Oh, it's great, man.
just being a part of it. Like I want to do it until my kid says no.
Totally.
Right. So every year now with Gunner, well, when they were young, I just did it. Right.
Yeah.
But now with Gunner, I go, do you want me to coach?
Yeah.
And until he says no, I'm gonna make it work.
Yeah.
In some fashion.
Yeah.
Because one day he's gonna say no.
Yeah.
I know it.
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't come for another
Right.
5 years.
Yeah.
But
Hopefully, you got some time.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's great, man. It's such a good experience. It's such a cool thing to be able to do with your kid.
Sure.
So yeah, that brings me a lot of joy. And yeah, just spending time with them. You know, as you know, running your own thing. You know, there's always work to be done, right? And you can justify the need to be working really 24/7. And so making a conscious decision that this time now is for the family or for friends, right? Making sure that you're, that I'm continuing to keep those relationships intact is I think really good for mental health.
Do you have techniques around that? Because when I come home, I put my phone on the charger in the room.
Yeah.
At 5, because I found my business, your business is very similar, especially my
Especially
business.
for you. I mean, people are calling you
it's
24/7. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like 11 at night.
Yeah.
When you're in a deal and if that deal gets tumultuous.
Yep.
So I told my clients now, like, hey, 5 or 6, if there's something imperative and I know it's coming, I'll have the phone.
Right.
But if not, it's on the charger.
Yeah.
And it forces me to really be present
Yep.
with my kids, which I think is so important with technology and
Totally.
kids and parenting. Is there anything you do to make sure you stay like kind of focused?
Yeah, I do the same thing. So I put my phone away. Not only because I want to make sure that I'm like present with my wife and my son when I'm home, but also, and I'm sure you feel the same way. I'm also setting an example.
Sure.
Like, technology and kids is something that does keep me up at night.
It's huge.
And so setting the example of not being on it as much as I can in front of him. Sometimes you can't do anything about it, but by and large, trying to do that, putting that away, I think is setting the right kind of example as well.
Yeah.
I can't be telling him to get off his iPad if I'm on
Totally.
my phone.
Totally. I'm still
I guess
holding off on those
but
iPads.
I'd be a hypocrite.
I know we're not there yet. I know it's coming soon, but we've held strong, but like
Good
he's
for
getting
you.
to an age. Well, he's at school now. They're at school, so it's like and he's using
they
them.
have them at school.
At a certain point, it's detrimental if you don't introduce it, right?
Yeah.
With where we're going in society. So last question.
Sure.
So 30 years from now, you're sitting on a beach, right? Career's over, I'm assuming, right? Yeah. I hope.
I hope so.
76.
Fingers
I hope.
crossed. Yeah, exactly.
What defines success in your career to you? Like if looking back, I'm a big reminiscing guy, right? Like whether it's high school or college or first jobs or whatever, like what defines a successful career to you?
Yeah. For me, I think success now, success then is going to be, it's really defined by like quality relationships, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm 76 years old, my life will be successful if I still have a strong marriage with my wife, if I have a good relationship with my son, have a good relationship with my siblings and my nieces and nephews, and have a good relationship with friends. I mean, I think, friendships are really important. And as we get older and we get busier with kids and careers and businesses, sometimes those are the things that can kind of fall by the wayside, those like long-term friendships. And I think that's really important. So, I have a group of best buddies. We've been close since college. And if I'm 76, like sitting around with those guys telling the same stupid stories we've been telling each other since we were 20. I think that would be, a sign of success, really.
Good life.
Life well spent.
Yeah, because you do have a big advantage, too, of having your family here locally.
Yes.
I've had a chance to meet your parents.
They love you. I think they might like you a little more than me,
They're
actually.
such great people. And then your brother's here.
Yeah.
You have another sibling here as
well?
well?
I have a sister who lives in Alameda, so not too far away. Yeah, so I get to see her pretty regularly. So
working in the community, families in the community, kids going to school in the community. You're rooted.
Yeah, absolutely.
In Petaluma. Yeah.
And that was really the goal when we moved here. I mean, Aaron and I met. We were living in San Francisco, and when we decided where we were going to settle. I grew up here. I grew up in Windsor, so in Sonoma County. We really wanted to settle in a place where we could put some real roots. I wanted to work in the community where we lived, and really, kind of engross ourselves in it. Luckily, thanks to your help, my parents moved to Petaluma about 6 months ago.
Yeah, I'm
so that's great. They're nearby, and my brother's right here in town with his family as well. So it's great to be able to see them as much as we can.
Well, you're a big part of the community, and it's always great seeing you around.
Always, man.
If you need anything from me at any time, let me know. Thank you for coming in and sitting down.
My pleasure. It was great.
With me. Yeah.
Just like us in front of 7-Eleven.
100%.
There's microphones. And
we hit the
people
over.
in here.
I think we hit the over on 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, buddy. I appreciate you coming in.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it, man.